And that means we are live here on our YouTube channel, Tackle Trading's Halftime Report. We got a full crew here today. Got Coach Tim, myself, Mark, Coach Emily, and Coach Cody here to bring the news and the analysis and have some fun while we're doing it. Let's start with pleasantries here. Mark, instead of asking you how you're doing, what's the one thing that you can't be late for? Because we were talking before the show and Cody says, hey, Tim, tomorrow I've got a hard stop, got to be in an attorney's office. What's one thing you just cannot show up late for?
Your wedding.
Don't want to be late to the wedding, but she might love you and might want to stay for a few minutes, see if you're showing up though. Emily, what about you?
Yeah, but she will never let you hear the end of it ever the rest of your life.
True. You got to live that one down for the rest of eternity. That's right. Cody?
Seriously, because and not to be sexist, but women have the ability to remember things far longer. The other day I was talking to my daughter and I said, sweetheart, when have I ever been wrong? And she's like, well, when I was 5, you said.
By the way, the moment you said not to be sexist, I held my breath a little bit because you never know what the next sentence is going to be after those preliminary statements. But obviously that I know
my daughter will never let me forget the one time.
She has a great memory. Kids do. Kids definitely do. Emily, what's one thing you think you cannot be late for?
Oh, anything to do with my kids, I guess, like stuff that maybe like appointments, doctor's appointments, those types of things. You just want to be on time, because if you're not, then it's like a roller coaster of then you got to wait, and then it just delays everything going forward. So anything to do with my kids, be on time with.
I think the number one is court. Like if you got a court date, you do not want to show up late to the judge. You're trying to find a speeding ticket, something like that. You got to be on time. Don't you think, Cody?
I'm going to go with the one that I have coming up. You can't be late to the hospital with the birth of your child.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's one you would never live down either.
Whether I'm meeting her there or whether I'm driving her there, we don't want to be late. Either or.
Oh, goodness. All right, let's break down the markets here today, guys. It's a big day, 1/15/2020, a historic day in some ways. We are signing the phase 1 trade deal today, Mark. In fact, I believe they've already done that there in Washington. Now, it doesn't really mean much. We already knew this was pretty much going to happen. I mean, the shock would be if China didn't show up, didn't do it, but that was a very, very low delta. It doesn't really change a lot. All it does is now put phase 2 into motions. The tariffs are going to stay into place, and you still have complexity between the U.S. and China. And if you want to look for proof of that, just watch the Democratic national debate last night. I mean, there was all kinds of chatter about what our role should be with China and trade out of those nominees. What's your feel on this whole trade situation right now, Mark?
It's telegraphed. I've been pretty adamant for months now that I did not think Trump was going to escalate this in an election year. It just doesn't make strategic sense. I do think if and when Trump is reelected, that you might see it get really, really nasty on different things when he doesn't feel. He's a politician. He's a politician. Politicians like to get reelected, and since the president can only serve 2 terms, well, you're going to get. You think Trump's unfiltered in his first term? Yeah, wait till you see. The second edition of that. So, but for now, for the purposes now, I saw Larry Kudlow today come out and say, a new tax cut.
I saw that headline.
Deal is on the summer. They're positioning themselves for reelection.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it's the taxes this summer, which guess what, that might work. A lot of people will be like, yeah, I'm going to vote for him again, that we're on the fence, because who doesn't like lower taxes?
No, obviously you're going to see some politically driven things there. And look, cutting taxes, lowering taxes, what is a more popular position from a politician than I'm going to cut your taxes, right? That would be definitely a very well-received thing. Do you think maybe and kind of one thing I'm reading into your comments here, Mark, I think maybe by getting this phase 1 deal in place, now they can start working on other stuff like infrastructure and taxes, or were they going to do that anyway?
They don't want this hanging around the market's neck. A robust stock market is good for Trump's reelection chances. Mm-hmm. It just is. A robust economy is good for Trump's reelection chances. So I find it very hard. We've went through 2 years of the trade war now. where you had the ups, the downs, the surprises. For the last couple months, I just like strategically you can't see it, and I think the market has, is baking that in too. Over the last few months, it's been like they've had zero fear of it re-erupting because it just doesn't make sense for it to do. So we might be closing the books on the trade war from a negative standpoint for the next 12 months or so.
I agree. And he's even, Mr. President has even kind of positioned that a little bit, saying we might not get to phase 2 until after the election. It's possible they want to reframe that context, that conversation, all that kind of stuff. And the markets like it here.
How many phases will there be? Is this going to be just 1 and 2, or is this going to be like, we're now working through phase 5 at the trade deal?
Yeah. Well, we're on our 15th Star Wars movie.
Everyone just has a different assumption that it's just going to be like phase 1, phase 2. I think there's going to be like at least 3, maybe 4 phases to this thing where it's just they keep inking paper to keep it in the market and the media headlines as long as possible.
Quite frankly, I mean, you're talking about the 2 top economies in the world. We're going to be negotiating trade contracts and deals for the rest of my lifetime, I'm sure. Whatever they call them, Cody. Now, in the current context of this trade war, I don't know. I don't know how many phases they're going to have. We know they want to move on to phase 2 now. And, it's going to be interesting to see how the market reacts. As of now, it's just flat bullish. Do you see anything in that chart that makes you believe market's going to slow down?
At the risk of sounding like a sell-sider, I mean, the chart's the chart. It does not matter what I think. It doesn't matter if I think we're overvalued. It doesn't matter what my 2-cent analysis might be on economic conditions and the value of the market. The chart's the chart. And if you learn when you're analyzing charts and you're objective in your analysis, that you do not fight short-term trends, no matter how insane you think they might be. The trend's the trend, the chart's the chart. Fight it at your own peril. It's just really that simple.
Yeah. Emily, what's your read on the markets right now? This bullish kind of casual laissez-faire, just go up almost every single day for several months. Are those conditions you enjoy? Do you like trading in this kind of market condition?
Yeah, I love, when it's easy, when you can look at the chart and it's just literally just telling you what you should be doing. I'm not that big into you guys are economic buffs. You like digging into all that stuff. I'm really not. It bores me to death. So, whatever China does, whatever phase we're in, I couldn't tell you what phase we're in right now. I just really just want to look at the chart. And I used to think that I needed to know all those things that are happening on a daily basis to be able to, trade. Yeah, it's important to know, but at the end of the day, just look at the picture.
The picture's bullish. There's no doubt about it. It's bullish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, bullish on the intraday. We're now hitting into a new high here. Cody, flash fire, and then you can comment it real quick. You can comment as you go. I want you to go through all 4 indexes real quick. S&P, Dow, NASDAQ, and Russell, and give us your commentary as well, okay?
Well, here's what I'm looking at. When you said what's the reason to possibly be cautious, well, that's the range it moved. I mean, that's the range it moved from that drop last December. That's the range it moved when it went bullish at the beginning of 17. That's where my caution comes from.
Yeah, I think that's probably trying to find something, though, quite frankly. If you look back, Cody, and you go back and you track the history of some of these market conditions when they run, I'm thinking like 2013, Mark, when the market was up 30-something%. It can stay bullish for as long as it wants to. The idea that we're going to be able to guess when it is based on pay expectations, I'm aware that could be a data point you bring into your thinking, Cody. Maybe you cover up here going into earnings. Maybe you keep your delta, in line and balanced, but I don't think it's enough of a reason to say it's not, continuing to stay bullish.
Oh, no, it's still bullish. And then my second point to that is the angle at which it's going up now.
Mm-hmm.
So, because like this angle here is definitely not as steep as that angle there.
Oh,
so it's a little bit more parabolic.
Yeah.
But you learned a long time ago, and you see this on individual charts in particular, like when that ball gets rolling,